because I liked that you could apply it. Like, I always liked math and science, but I felt getting a little bored after doing equation after equation.
Well, in all honesty, I chose engineering because I knew I was really good at math, and I figured engineering has a lot to do with math, so I felt like it was like a math degree with a purpose.
And why is the ratio of women to men so low at Tech?
I do think it's because it's primarily engineering, but I also think, I guess, it started that way, and so a lot of women are intimidated by that, and so coming into the school they feel like because it's such a high ratio of men to women that it wouldn't be a very comfortable place for them, maybe.
Yeah, I think that historically it's just sort of that's I guess perceived by society as men do the kind of engineering job, and like women can't do that because they need to stop and have children and look after the family. And I think that because it was like that for so long, that everybody just assumes that women can't do that kind of job, and just because you don't actually see very many women engineers in CEO positions of engineering companies, then it's less exposure, and girls and women don't realize that they have the same potential to do an engineering job.
Stereotype is true that STEM majors are kind of predominantly male, but I think it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Women look at tech and they think they're not supposed to go to tech just because it's a male-dominated school, and oftentimes you look kind of for a more balanced gender ratio.
So at Georgia Tech, I think it definitely has a stigma of being very male-oriented. We definitely have made a lot of strides in our policy at Tech, specifically with trying to get more women here and trying to protect women's rights here. And so I think we made a lot of strides with that lately, but I think that's kind of a stigma that Georgia Tech has. I think engineering, a lot of girls grow up and they're like, oh, gross engineering. They don't really know what it is, and it's typically a male thing. And I think that just because Georgia is very southern, and so it's, you get a lot of the gender roles from an early age, and so I think that's kind of why it happens.
I would say that it probably has to do with the fact that girls are kind of brought up to do more creative things rather than mathematical or analytical things, whereas guys are you would just expect them to do mathematical type things.
And were you discouraged by your friends or family when it came to choosing engineering when you told them?
Yeah, I remember my grandma thought I wanted to be a mechanic. I'm like, I don't want to be a mechanic, I want to be an engineer. So, a little bit, but they've come around.
Everybody in my family wants me to be an engineer. So, yeah.
Actually, I think my mom was the one who suggested it to me. She, when I was in 9th grade, she was like, you need to do engineering, go do it. And I was like, okay, so yeah, just kind of went from there.
In general, for a girl, what her friends say are very important, and so it really depends on who she's friends with, and if she hangs out with other girls that also like doing science and designing things, then I feel like her saying that would not really get any objections. But if she hangs around with people that are really going to go into fashion or something else really different from engineering one day, when she says that, it'll be like, that's so random, why did you say that?
Yeah.
And can you think of any possible solutions to improve this gender ratio?
Honestly, I think it's improving a lot because this year we have had a lot more women in Georgia Tech, and so I feel just I guess promoting they have a lot of, I've noticed on campus, a lot of resources for women to help them, and so I feel just continuing this and letting the word out, even having women at the school talk about how it's really not that hostile of an environment people think that it would be, but so I guess just having more women talking about it like kind of promoting the school would get rid of that stereotype that there's like it's like an only guys school or something.
You know, I know that for me personally, I was recruited pretty heavily by the women's recruitment team and different organizations on campus that kind of made it a personal feel so that it felt like Tech wanted women as opposed to just like looking for statistics. So I think the programs are really good because I know every year the ratio improves pretty substantially.
You know, I think that in high schools there need to be more engineering classes, like just for people to take, like, because had I not taken an engineering class in high school, I never would have known that it's something I like. And I would say, like, that, I don't know, I guess just the less aware we are that it's supposed to be different, that men are supposed to be better at engineering than women, then the more women will start to do it. And I think you've seen that over the years, because I think many, many years ago there weren't as many girls here as there are now.
Probably starting pretty early. So like, you know, like girls' toys and things like that. Just kind of making it a viable option when you're growing up and taking classes as well. Really helpful.
I know that in terms of under the undergraduate admissions office, they have several student-led organizations that are part of the admissions office, such as women's recruiting team, and they also have like Hispanic recruiting team. There's a whole bunch of teams that are recruiting for the minorities at Tech. And so I know that women's recruiting team are definitely working very hard on bringing more girls into Tech. And I know that this year we've had the highest percentage of female engineers coming into Tech ever.